Hi, today we'll be coding something fun and dizzying. What we have here are two rings, each made up of multiple pieces, and you can see how the background pattern repeats itself after 4 pieces. So basically, after 4 items we have repetition. So we have lots of groups of 4 items around the ring. So let's say we're going to have 18 groups, we have 2 rings. So let's start from that. So the repetition is after 4 items. We're going to have, let's say, 18 groups, and we have 2 rings. Now the total item number on a ring is going to be Q, and it's computed as M times N. Now everything is going to be within the body, and we're going to have a loop right here. So for let I going from 0 all the way up to P, increment this I, we're going to have our ring elements, and in a style attribute we are going to pass this index as a custom property to the CSS. So the ring index is going to be equal to the loop index. Then we're going to have another similar loop inside the ring. And when I say similar, I mean we're going to change the loop index for 1. And then we are going to change the value it goes up to, because it goes up to Q, which is the total number of items on a ring. And here we create our item elements. And now let's move on to putting something on the screen. So our item elements, we are going to set a dimension, and this is going to be both horizontal and vertical. So this is going to be calc, and it's going to be 1 plus I times 0.25 times 1m. So this means 1m for the ring with index I0 and 1.25 m's for the ring with index I1. Okay, and this is going to be both the width and the height. So the width is going to be that d value, and the same is going to go for the height. Let's change that height. Okay, now let's set a background. This is going to be a linear gradient, and we're going to start from a pretty dark gray, which goes up to 50% and then abruptly changes to white. So we're going to have a sharp transition, so you can see right there. Now we want all of our items to be stacked one on top of the others. So we're going to start with a bit of layout. So if you've seen my previous videos, then you know I like to do this. On the body and on all div elements, set display grid. And as I said earlier, we want all our grid items to just get stacked one on top of the other. So that means grid area, they're all going to be at the intersection between the first row and first column. And I messed up something there. Okay, like that. Now for our ring elements, we're also going to have place self center. And you can see how it only looks in the middle horizontally but not vertically, and that's because at this point the body still takes the height of its content, which is those 2 rings stacked one on top of the other. So we're going to need to explicitly set a height on the body. So body height, full viewport height. Okay, this puts it in the middle, but it also gives us an ugly scroll bar. So let's get rid of that. Let's say that we're going to have margin 0 on everything, because this is caused by a margin, a non-zero margin on the body. So that's why we have that scroll bar. Okay, now having done this, we're going to want to position those items on a ring. And to do that, we're going to go back here for a little bit and add in a style element. So we're going to have the same loop, and here we're going to have item nth child j plus 1, and it's plus 1 because the nth child index is 1 based as opposed to loop index, which is 0 based. So we are going to have j set to the loop index right here. So that's going to be the item index on the ring set to the loop index right there. And one more thing here, in a style attribute, we'll be passing those values m, n, q. Q. And there's one more thing I'm going to want to compute there. I left the M as placeholder, you're going to see in a moment, but before that, let's get back here, and we're going to have transform, rotate, and we're going to have calc, and that's going to be J over Q times 1 turn, so that's going to be a rotation, and then we're going to have translate, let's say 15 ems, something like that. Okay, translate Y. Okay, that's more like it. Now, having done this, let's go back here for a little bit. And what we're going to want to compute is a tangent value, a tangent of half the angle corresponding to one of these items. So you can kind of see how this is pretty similar to a polygon with lots and lots of edges. So it's basically what we want to compute is the tangent of half the angle corresponding to one of these edges. So let me just show you on a figure. For example, here we have a hexagon, but we can have something with a lot more edges. So for example, we're going to have 10 edges and 10 vertices. And in this case, the angle corresponding to one edge is going to be 360 degrees, the total number of degrees around the circle, divided by the number of edges. So in this case, it's going to be 36 because we have 10 vertices and 10 edges. So half this angle, we're going to get it by drawing a perpendicular. These two edges of this triangle, these two edges are both radii, so they're equal. So this is going to get here right in the middle, and it's going to be perpendicular, right? So we're going to need the angle, the tangent of half this angle, the angle in this right triangle right here. Okay, so that's going to be tangent, and the full angle would be 2 pi over q, so half the angle is going to be just pi over q. So tangent of pi over q, and we don't want a ton of decimals, so we are going to reduce it to just 2 of them, and we're going to want it to be a number. So that's going to be what we have there, tangent. Now here we're going to compute a radius. So the ring radius is going to be half of that dimension. So basically that dimension, you can say that dimension is the edge right here. So we're going to use half of that, right? And to get this bit right here, so half of that over the perpendicular is going to give us the tangent. So that perpendicular is our radius right there. So we divide that half by the tangent. And if CSS supported trigonometric functions, we could compute that in the CSS, but yeah, we set it as a custom property there until CSS supports trigonometric functions. So now here we're going to use the radius, and you're going to see 2 rings finally. Okay, next step, we're going to have an animation. So keyframes, if I could type, that would be great. And it's going to go all the way up to background position. And we don't have any offset horizontally, but vertically we're going to use, and for now we're just going to use D in there. Let's have our animation. So animation, let's set an animation duration right here, 1 second. So our animation, the animation duration, linear, infinite, let's see. Okay, now we're going to compute a ring sign. So sign is going to be calc 2 times I, the ring index, minus 1. So if I is 0, this sign is minus 1. If I is 1, this sign is 1. So we're going to introduce that right here. So we're going to have sign times right? And you are going to see how they go in opposite directions now. And we're also going to add an animation delay. So this is going to be calc, and we are going to use J over M, which is the number of items we have per group, a repetition group. So M times the animation duration. Let's see it. And you can see how not all the items have the animation started from the very beginning, and that's because some of these, well, all of these delays are positive. So let's make all of them negative by subtracting n. Okay, now having done this, one thing to note is that all of these go in the same direction all around the entire ring, and here it's a bit different because we have symmetry with respect to the middle. So let's take care of that. We are going to compute the absolute value of the difference between half the number of items on a ring and the current item index. So that absolute value is going to be the maximum. And by the way, I actually wrote an article where I explain how to compute this stuff, and it's going to be linked in the description. But for now, let's get back here. So it's going to be half of Q minus the item index, and the opposite. So if this is in the first half, right, if J is in the first half, it's smaller than half of Q, then this is going to be positive and this is going to be our maximum. Otherwise, this is going to be the positive one, and of course we have a positive number and the same number but with minus in front. One of these, it depends on how big J is, whether it's smaller than half of Q or it's bigger. So yeah, we're going to use that absolute value here, and now it's going to work a bit differently. One more thing left to do: filter, blur 2 pixels, and we are done. So yeah, this is it. This is what I wanted to show you for today. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you have, if you like the work that I'm putting out since early 2012 and you want me to be able to do more in the future, please consider supporting it. You can do so by being a cool cat and becoming a patron on Patreon, or if monthly support is not your style, there's the option of one-time donation, or you can make me happy with a gift off my wish list, or you could at least share this to show the world what can be done in CSS these days, because honestly, I think it's pretty damn cool. In any event, thanks for watching. Everything is going to be linked in the description below, and I'll see you next time. Bye!